Ladies, gentlemen, and destined ones of all ages, another week, another new cycle, as many people are finally entering the later stages of the game, and either beginning or continuing New Game Plus cycles. The best builds later on in the game will of course be different than they are early in the game, and sometimes the best build means the biggest singular hits, sometimes the best build just means one that makes the game super comfortable, other times it's just a unique or special playstyle that's just worth talking about really, but all of them are interesting for one reason or another. So today we're going to talk about another 5 of the best builds in Black Myth Wukong. This time breaching into New Game Plus territory and starting to use all the things that you can't really get until then. First up today then we have a fun setup based around spirit skills, but rather than using the spirit to buff your own attacks or using the golden armor set, which makes your cooldown reset on spirit skills quite short if you get crits, but instead focusing on the largest singular hit that you can get from a spirit skill, which is achieved with the wandering wight spirit from the optional boss of the same name in chapter 1. This doesn't necessarily require you to be in New Game Plus to use, but it does reach proper one-shot potential with the spirit skill once you get stuff like the dark iron staff and its insane attack scaling, as well as just all of the general boost that you can get from having extra curios in your second cycle. This does a super short range headbutt when you use the spirit skill for a ton of damage, even by default with nothing stacked on it, but you can boost it significantly due to its scaling off of the player's attack and crit stats, as well as through other bonuses like the long bomb drink for your gourd, the unveiling strike of the cloud step spell with all of its skill tree upgrades, and also the breath of fire gourd soak, combining that with the self poison bonus damage of the centipede armor set and the death stinger soak to inflict the poison on yourself, then immobilize right before you actually do the hit yourself when you're actually in stealth, and you've got an insanely specific setup capable of one-shotting the majority of bosses even in New Game Plus, using the headbutt of an enemy that is known for beating the crap out of a lot of new players, which is a bit of sort of extra poetic justice to it as far as I'm concerned too. The setup obviously still has the bonuses of just being built to have access to strong spells as well as a focus on building your attack and crit stats, which means even outside of the spirit skill, even if it goes on cooldown for whatever reason, you just have a super strong general staff attacking setup with a ton of buffs focused around Cloud Strike. So if all else fails, you can just do a massive heavy attack setup too with the same build. Speaking of which, we have our second build of the day, which is the sort of like 28 focus point heavy attack. This is relatively simple. Honestly, it requires the freed mind relic that you get for completing the secret ending of the game in your first playthrough and then entering New Game Plus. Specifically, the option for this relic that you want to take is the one that makes your duplicates copy your larger attacks, because you can have up to 6 duplicates from a pluck of many with the right skill tree upgrades, and this makes it actually copy all of your big heavies, including your 4-point heavies, which means if you use a 4-point heavy, there's essentially 7 of them hitting at the same time. Of course, the duplicates do less damage than you do, but it does just achieve absolutely massive damage numbers. You can use this in honestly plenty of different setups, but we're going to be talking about 2 of these builds today. The biggest singular hits are achieved by using the Pilgrim armor set for the big sprint attack bonuses, Ring of Fire with the relic option that lets you charge to 4 focus while you are standing in the ring, and then the classic Cloud Step and Gourd's combo for that too, not to mention the Curios as well. This achieves absolutely insanely large singular hits with a ton of setup required, and of course some people are massively into this, but if you love the concept of this many monkeys doing frequent big heavy attacks, the alternate way of taking this is using the Monkey King set itself, with the Monkey King staff as well, which both lets you essentially build to 4 focus points faster by just not having a depreciating buildup on the 4th point, but also gives you crit chance when you cast a spell, which you will do a ton of because your spells are great and the way that we actually play the build. As well, it reduces spell cooldowns when you get crits. Combine this with a staff spin focused gameplay loop in between pluck of many casts to build up your focus fast and crit as often as possible, with curios like the Amber Prayer Beads for increased focus generation or the Cat Eye Beads for bonus crit chance, because you want as much crit chance as you can stack here too. Then this has lesser singular hits than the sprint build we just talked about before, but with a lot more longevity and consistency between hits and much more frequent able to be actual casting a pluck of many, which does matter for the biggest health bar bosses that you could fight in the game, especially in further cycles, or just if you are someone who personally prefers a boss fight lasts for more than 5 to 10 seconds. Then we have our full-on Immortal build, which is honestly extremely fun to play, and it's literally based off of a relatively simple combination of the Bull King armor set's 4-set bonus and the Dark Iron Staff, which you can make after the secret area in Chapter 5 in New Game Plus, which is also when you're able to make the full Bull King armor set anyways. The armor set itself then has ridiculously high defense as a stat. The staff then has the unique effect of scaling your attack based on your defense stat. So while it has 100 in attack raw as a base, it will gain over 100 bonus to the attack stat simply from having the defense of this armor set itself. The 2-set armor bonus though also gives you defense when you get hit, which makes you even defensively stronger, and the 4-set bonus gives you the tenacity effect pretty much permanently. It says only under 50% health, but that's just not how it functions in the game. This is a buff that basically just makes it so you will not flinch when you are hit by the vast majority of attacks in the game. They will still do damage to you, but they won't actually knock you out of your animations. There are of course some exceptions to this. It's not a hard set rule. The larger hits from the biggest bosses will definitely still knock you around a little bit, but for the most part, outside of that, you are just free to do stuff like staff spin into enemy attacks, free to charge heavies as well while an enemy slices at you. The only loss will be health. You won't get flinched out of it. You will always be able to finish your attacks. So you will always be able to trade, and we build heavy defense around this so that it's always positive for you to do these trades, for you to essentially just trade health with the enemy, let them hit you, in return to hit them. You will take minimal damage and you'll heal it back too. You also get the life-saving strand as a spell. You have gourd upgrades that increase defense, the load of skill tree upgrades for defense as well, and then there's the further addition of Maitreya's orb as a curio. This prevents a fatal hit from killing you and protects you for a few seconds afterwards. The effect of this is actually recharged by pure number of hits. It's not like one time per rest or something like that. It recharges if you can hit enough times between uses, which is fastest done with staff spin, which again, with the Amber Prayer Beads curio, is the fastest way to build up focus, especially with the tenacity effect, letting you staff spin without getting flinched out of it. Overall, this basically makes you ignore most of the enemy's moveset and is just a real sort of action hero feeling playstyle. Then finally, this one is literally as simple as it gets, really. It doesn't ruin the gameplay in any way. It doesn't make you get literally one-shots on every boss that you fight unless you want it to, because you can build it that way. It doesn't make you ignore enemy attacks with tenacity. It just hits like a truck with every single attack. And this is using the secret bonus monkey kicking set from chapter 6, the common one with the set bonus that gives you more defense per Great Sage talent unlocked, and this scales all the way into your 4th playthrough when you have all of your relic points filled out. This can grow to give you over 800 defense. Combine that with the Dark Iron Staff, which again scales your attack off of your defense number, and you have one of the tankiest and most damaging basic setups to build the rest of your setup around. From there, you can push it towards using something like Spellbinder, you could push it towards big cloud step hits as well, or you could make it use duplicates or an immobilized focus build too, and you can use things like the Tiger Tally Curio to give it multiplicative boost to all the raw attack that you've built up from the staff's unique effect, because again, you have such a high attack number from this combination that building pretty much anything on top of it that adds multipliers instead of just flat attack is massive. Again, this is relatively simple. There's lots of variants available to this. You can build it in various different ways, and basically this just works as a sort of base for any other build once you've reached the later stages of the game, rather than being a full setup in itself. That just about does it for today, and everyone. Another 5 of the best builds in Black Myth Wukong, this time breaching into the realm of New Game Plus. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and maybe some of you have even felt inspired to try some of these out for yourself. And for some of these, we also have more detailed guides on the full build on the channel as well if you want to check those out. Let us know what other kinds of builds you'd like to see us put together in the game down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.